This video provides an overview of the key features included in InfoBurst Build 125. So what's new in Build 125? First, we've introduced support for new business object service packs. In Build 125, we support XI3 Service Pack 7, BI 4.0 Service Pack 9, and BI 4.1 Service Pack 3. Next, we've added a feature called Document Upload. Traditionally in InfoBurst, we can add documents like Excel files, PDF files to the InfoBurst system to deliver to various destinations. We can also use static files like Excel for what we call data sources. The data source is typically used to provide values for document delivery or values for report bursting. And these Excel files would be added from either a network share or a platform. This required that the Excel file be placed either in that network share or on the platform, either a business objects environment or SharePoint. The document upload feature allows the user to now upload that Excel file from their local computer. So let's look at an example of document upload. To add a document from our local computer, we'll select our New menu and then Document. And you'll notice a new option, My Computer. We select it, browse for the target file. This is an Excel file, and add it to InfoBurst. Once we have the Excel file, we can then add it to something like a file list or an XDC and XML data cache. Here we'll create a file list from this Excel file. So New File List, we'll call this States List. I'll select the option InfoBurst to browse for that newly uploaded Excel file. We'll select our file, add the file list, and then we can test it. And from here we can add this file list to a burst and use it to control report bursting. The next feature of 125 is an enhancement to content grouping. This enhancement allows us to group content by multiple variables. Here's an example. The burst contains two reports. Both reports are burst for state and city. In this example, we'll burst report 1 for state Arizona and city Phoenix, and we'll burst report 2 for the same values. The goal then is to group together content that has been burst for a common set of multiple variable values, Arizona, Phoenix. With content grouping, this would result in a single grouped PDF file containing Arizona, Phoenix information from both reports. Then if we were to burst the report again, or both reports again, for a different state-city combination, Arizona, Scottsdale, this would give us an Arizona, Scottsdale grouped PDF. Let's look at that in InfoBurst. So here we have a burst that contains our two reports, Report 1 and Report 2. And we can see that Report 1 contains a parameter for state, so we're going to burst at the state level and then filter at the city level. And we'll do the same thing with Report 2. It has a prompt for state and a filter for city. Now each report we're controlling with a data source. This happens to be a file list, and that file list contains our combinations of state and city. So we'll burst first for state California and city Los Angeles, and then for Florida and Miami. And this data source is applied to both documents. Then to group that content, here in Burst Properties under Content Grouping, we've selected the Grouping by option Document Variable. And to group by multiple variables, we then define the two variables on which we'll group. So first is the parameter called state, delimited with a comma, and then the filter parameter city. We've also applied a template that will push this content to a network share in PDF format. So the result of this burst are two files. The first PDF file contains both reports, both burst for State California and City Los Angeles. So there's the content from report 1, and here's the content from report 2, and then the same was achieved for the Florida, Miami parameter values. Another change to content grouping, document omission. In this example, the burst contains 3 reports, and our intention is to perform content grouping, but only on 2 of the 3 reports. With document omission, we can simply omit one or more of the documents in the burst from that grouping definition. Here we omit document number 2. Again, let's look at that in the InfoBurst user interface. We'll use this same burst. Let's go back to the main burst panel. So we have our 2 reports, and they're part of the grouping. We'll add a 3rd report. We'll add this crystal report. And with no changes, this document would be added to that same PDF grouping. To omit that document, we would simply open burst properties, content grouping, and then select the document for omission or exclusion. Here we'll select the crystal report, and that document will not be included in the content grouping. One note here, because you've omitted this document from content grouping, you must then add a unique delivery for that document. So for the crystal report, we'd simply go about adding a new delivery. So here we could add a delivery from a template, and we'll just deliver Excel to a network. The next enhancement regards what happens when a report is refreshed and returns no data, what's known as an empty data provider. And traditionally, InfoBurst would either deliver the content, this is the default, so deliver if empty, or the user could optionally disable the delivery if the report is refreshed and returns 0 rows. That behavior has been augmented, and as you see on the screen, new options have been included. So by default, InfoBurst will still deliver the content if empty. This can be overridden first by the second option there, log message inactivity log. With this option, the content will not be delivered if the data provider is empty, and the status of the burst, this empty data provider status, will be logged in the burst activity log. The third option allows you to suppress the delivery, so we won't deliver the empty report, and then also notify the email recipient that the report has not been delivered because the report contained no data. So let's look at that in InfoBurst. First off, we'd set our report delivery options. So from the Options tab, we would select when data provider is empty, and here our intention is to not deliver the report and send the user a notification of why they didn't get their report on this day. So we'll select notify email recipient and save that option. And now within the delivery, this is an email delivery, we have an option to include a custom message to send when the report is blank. If we select this option, we have a default message for the message that would be sent when the data provider is empty, and we could say no data was available for today's report. So while the user doesn't receive their daily report, they will at least receive a message explaining why they didn't get today's report. The next change is a new user interface called System Management. This replaces what was known as InfoBurst setup, which gave the user or the administrator access to various system tools like repository management. This is an overhaul to that system. It augments some of the existing features and adds new features for the administrator. System management, the new system management user interface, can be accessed in two ways. First, from the main help menu. So under help and utilities, select system management. That will open a new browser tab. In here we can authenticate to system management. Again, this must be an administrative user. The system management user interface can also be accessed via the browser bar and simply enter server name, port 8551 will take you to the same user interface. Now, system management includes a variety of sections. The first section is system information, and this will show you basic information about the system, including licensing, and also includes various system performance charts, and we'll simulate a bit of activity here. From this view, the user can see the performance of various system queues and burst status and XDC status over a 24-hour period. Repository setup is also available through this user interface. Here the user can create new repositories, connect to existing repositories, and delete repositories. We also have system configuration. This gives the administrator access to see key system settings, like authentication mode, how long logs are retained. A variety of settings can be accessed from this web user interface. The full set of system configuration options is available via the command shell, and that can still be accessed from this system. So the command shell is accessible also from system management, and here we can interact with the shell to do things like run scripts and change system settings. We have access to the server log or the system log. From here we can view today's log, view previous logs. We can also search logs for key terms or phrases. We can also download the log to our local system. System management also gives us access to the dashboard connectors available to dashboard users. Monitoring of the BI Java ports when we're using Java client platforms to BI4. And then finally, access to our apps API, both the application manager and help documentation for use of the apps JavaScript API. Complete information about Build 125 can be found in the release notes available on the InfoBurst support wiki at wiki.infosol.com/InfoBurst.